Well, I hope this is going to be a quick and easy one. It should be, but I don't want to have that be some famous last words, if you will. This is a 25-inch K7000 that is randomly going into shutdown mode. And it's in very nice shape. This is an absolutely low hour. No doubt about it, a very low hour K7000. It is a bit dusty, but if we turn it over and look at the back side, it's just in pristine condition. There's not a single evidence of any flux except for around the HOT and the flyback and the voltage regulator, because somebody has replaced these components trying to figure out this problem. But overall, the board is just immaculate. Now, it doesn't even need a reflow. This is factory solder joints here on R89 and R104 here. You can see that there's not much to the solder joint. They're pretty thin, but they're not cracked or broken. R101's been reflowed here, and then of course this has had a cap kit and a flyback installed in an attempt again to try and fix this shutdown issue. But all of the normal problems that plague these, these solder joints here for R89, this whole pad here is normally burned up in black, and so is this, and it's just really in good shape. There's not much else I can say. It's nice to have one come across the bench here that's not all butchered and messed up. But yeah, the flyback, HOT, and VR have been changed out, and of course it's got a cap kit and of course the flyback. But so it's in really good shape. I gave this a look over. I don't see anything visually wrong. There's no cracked joints, no bad solder pads, nothing that would leap out, and it does operate. It just randomly goes into shutdown. So normally when that happens, you've got a shutdown pot here that's probably not adjusted properly, or has corrosion or high resistance or going out of spec or whatever. But a lot of the times it's also bad solder joints, because I recently had one, a personal one, that was working and then it would shut down. And I go over there and I start pushing on the board. I push on the board and it'd come back to life. I'd let go and it'd die again, because the solder joint for R89 was actually broken. This joint right here was actually cracked underneath the solder pad. So when I had continuity to the next point here, I had continuity from here to here, but from here back around over to here, I did not. So it turned out to be a bad solder joint. So you can have bad solder joints, broken traces, whatever, when you have shutdown. If you just go around and push on various things and it starts to come to life and then dies, that's a good indication of a bad cracked joint or what have you, trace. But I don't think that's the case in this because of how good a condition it's in. I think we just simply have a shutdown pot that's not adjusted properly. And if we look here, you can see that it's got the glue on the top, but there's no glue on the actual rest of the pot. And I can turn it all day long. I'll leave it right where it was at, but I can turn it. So we need to adjust that. Now the way we do this is, or at least we need to verify it's set correctly. Right here on the cathode of D12, you put your positive lead on the cathode of D12, which is this side here, and you go to ground on your frame here, and you should read, I believe, 0.09 volts DC. And that's where you want to adjust this pot to. So the first thing I want to do here is, after giving it an inspection and verifying everything appears to be visually okay, I'll still go through and do all the full reflow once we get this working, or reliably working, I should say, assuming that's our problem. And I'll do the burn-in test and everything. But assuming we get this fixed, I'll go through and do the full reflow and everything like that and get this all done. But one more thing to note is that I did not receive a remote board. This was packaged up in the box and it did not have a remote board. So I happen to have a spare one here. We're going to plug this in, and then we'll get this on a tube and make sure it turns on. If it does, we'll verify that we're set to is it 0.09? I'm pretty sure it's 0.09. I'm lazy and didn't look it up beforehand, but if it's not, we'll find out what it's supposed to be and get it corrected and see if it stays running. So let's find out. Okay, so I was way off. It's actually supposed to read 9.8 volts. the shutdown pot should read 9.8 volts. The 0.09 is actually the K7400, 7500, 2000, 5000. For some reason I had that on my mind. I don't know why. So the shutdown pot on the K7000, when you're hooked up to the cathode of D12, as I showed you, it should be 9.8 volts when this is operating properly. All right, so we're all hooked up, ready to go. We turn on the test pattern generator and we'll turn this on. Hopefully it turns on and operates, and we're looking for 9.8. If we are far from 9.8, we will turn the pot to get to 9.8, and hopefully that will solve the problem. So let's turn this on. 1, 2, 3. See, we are at, why am I at negative? Oh, I'm on negative because I have my leads hooked up backwards. Let's disregard that. So this needs to be 9.8. And, oh, we need to adjust our vertical hold here. There we go. Holy crap. Contrast. Vertical size. Okay, that's better. This is like way too wide. Holy cow. Right about there. Okay. I'm not going to make any adjustments on the chassis because this is set up for the tube for the owner or whoever owns this. But yeah, we're coasting around 10.12. We need to adjust that down to about 9.8. And I can't put a screwdriver in there and just turn it because there's compound on the or sealer on top of the pot. So I'm going to try and do this manually here. Man, I am turning it a lot. There we go, 9.8. Let's do 9.80. There you go, 9.8. So I must have turned out probably a good, quarter turn. So I think my hypothesis may be correct. But of course, we never saw it shut down. I never turned it on long enough for it to shut down. But there's no reason to verify that, because we were set incorrectly. So now that we're at the exact 9.8, again, disregard the negative because I have my leads backwards here for some reason. I hope it's color coded and I still messed it up. That's why they have the term idiot proof. There's no such thing as idiot proof. It's idiot resistant because there's always a better idiot out there. Okay, so we're dead on 9.8 and it's operating and running. We saw all the solder joints were in good shape. So I'm going to let this run for as long as I can, probably the rest of the day, about another 7.5 hours. I'm going to hook up an actual PCB to let it run as opposed to running this because the battery will die. I'm going to let it run for the rest of today, about 7.5 hours or so, and if it doesn't shut down a single time in all that time, I will assume it's fixed, and we just need to adjust our shutdown pot. I'm going to go through and do the full reflow, then test it again for a little bit to make sure I didn't make any bridges or something on the reflow, and we'll call it done. If it does shut down and I need to cut back in and do some more troubleshooting, of course I will do that. But if not, if this is the end of the video, then assume it did not shut down on me. So I appreciate it. In assuming it does not shut down, I'm going to say thanks for watching, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.